Hello everyone. Last classes we started chapter number 5. We completed nutrition, respiration, transportation. Today in this class, next 20 to 30 minutes, we are going to learn excretion, excretion in human beings, as well as we will focus on excretion in plants. Here, just we have to remember regarding the life process from first life process to the last one. Since we are in the last one, just try to correlate whatever we learned in the last three classes. First, we started with nutrition, later respiration, transportation. Now we are learning excretion. So whatever we studied the so far, the life process, which we learned from the nutrition to the excretion, which is happening in that one by one step wise, because we are obtaining that food which is breaking down into the simple one, that which is helping to give that energy that we learn in the form of the respiration. Later, whatever the food which is broken down inside our human digestive system, which has to be reach each and every part of the body, the transportation of that gases in the form of oxygen and the nutrients, which is we learn in the form of the transportation. Later, as we know that any biological activity, any biological process, automatically some of the byproduct which will be accumulated, which will be form any biological processes. That accumulation or that waste material, whatever which is forming in the biological process, that has to be removed from our body, that we are learning here one of the life process called that excretion. Mm, let's start. So we studied regarding that how the gases waste is generated during the photosynthesis and the respiration, how that gases which is coming out from the plant. Even we studied during the respiration, means in the form of the breathing, how that oxygen which is coming, which we are taking in, and how that carbon dioxide which is coming out from our body, or which is removing from our body. And here, can we see only the gases in the form of that carbon dioxide in the plants and that humans or that animals? Along with that, the waste material or the waste product in the form of the gases, even we can see some of the solid material inside our body due to the some metabolic activities. Okay, so that is other metabolic activities generate that nitrogenous material which has to be need to be removed from our body. And just you can imagine, if you take, just if you see that the picture in the left side, that is a amoeba which is moving. Since it is a unicellular organism, we cannot see the complex body in it. Even we cannot see that the digestive system, respiratory system, transportation system, so and so, so and so. Here, in simple unicellular organism, to removal of that waste material in the form of the gas, and that in the form of the nitrogenous waste also, simple diffusion is enough to remove that waste material. But what about that multicellular organism like us? We have we have that different, like we have that multicellular organism. Since we are the multicellular organism, we have that excretory system to this certain activities. So here, whatever the biological processes which is happening, definitely the nitrogen waste material which is generating inside that human or that animal body, that biological process means, what is the biological process here? The removal of nitrogenous waste material, the biological process in which in which involved in the removal of these harmful metabolic wastes. Waste. Look, what do you mean by these harmful metabolic waste? This harmful metabolic waste in the form of the nitrogenous waste. So here, the biological process means that excretion involved in the removal of these harmful metabolic waste that is in the form of nitrogenous material from the body is called excretion. Okay, here we have to remember very, very careful. We studied in the human digestive system the process called digestion. Here again, we are using the removal of harmful metabolic waste in the form of excretion. Excretion here, which is helping to removal of the metabolic waste by filtering the blood, means all the nitrogenous metabolic waste which will be present in the blood which will undergo the filtration, then we can see that the process called that excretion. But in that human digestive system, we saw that we studied that digestion is nothing but the removal of undigested food, that entire solid substances which is coming out from our body. Here in excretion, the filtration of the blood which is taking place. So coming to the main one, as we discussed so far, that unicellular organism, simple diffusion is enough to remove of that unwanted, undigested food or that any waste material. But here, since we are the multicellular organism, we have that excretory system. Means the excretory system which is helping to removal of nitrogenous waste. So here we are going to learn excretion in human beings. The excretory system of the human beings, it includes a pair of kidney, a pair of ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra. S- So what we can see in that human excretory system means one pair of kidneys and again one pair of ureters and urinary bladder, and here you can see that urethra. And where we can see this location means the excretory system, one pair of kidney and one pair of ureters and urinary bladder and urethra. These kidneys are located in the abdomen region. So the parts also very important. Sometimes these parts which is come from which you will ask for your board examination for that picture based question. So coming to the main process, this is very, very important. So most of the time, mm, so we can get here minimum 2 to 3 marks question. So now we know that the excretory system consisting of one pair of kidney. So how urine is produced inside our body? And the purpose of making urine is to filter out waste product from the blood. I already discussed, I highlighted this key point. So what is the purpose of excretory system in our body? Means this is helping to making urine. How it is making that urine? From the filter out the waste products from the blood, means the filtration is happening through the filter, the waste material in the form of the urine which is coming out from our body. And as we learn, just as carbon dioxide is removed from the blood in the lungs, here the nitrogenous waste such as urea or uric acid removed from blood in the kidney. Here you can see what exactly we can able to see in this picture. So here glomerulus filtration. What exactly it's happening? Here the blood which is entering into the kidney and the filtration is happening, and the filtration is happening through the filtration, the blood getting filtered, later that nitrogenous waste which is coming in the form of the urine. So here that human excretory system, we can able to see that and kidneys, and if you take that kidney, so this is that one part of that kidney which we can able to see, the structure of the nephron. This structure of the nephron which will be look like this, and here the structure of the nephron is very very important actually, as we know that the human excretory system consisting of two pairs of the kidney. Actually the inside that kidney, that all the filtration which is happening inside that kidney in the structure of nephron or the nephron. Here the fundamental or the structure of that kidney is nephron, means the filtration unit. The filtration unit of the kidney is nephron itself only. The millions of the nephron which will be present inside one kidney, that all the filtration process which is taking place in the nephron itself only. And here you can see the parts of the nephron. Here first we will see renal artery. The renal, whenever we studied regarding that excretory system, which will come that word called the renal, as we know that artery means which will carry that accidental blood into the in, and we have that Bowman's capsule and glomerulus, again branch of renal vein, capillaries. Here we have that Henle loop and tubular part of nephron and collecting duct. Actually, along with that, you have to remember two more points, two more parts also here. Here we will find, I will show that in the other picture in the next slide. So here we will see proximal convoluted loop, proximal convoluted tube, and here we can see the distinct convoluted tube. Here. So this is that 3 marks question, urine formation. As we know that waste is excreted from the human body mainly in the form of urine. Means what exactly it's happening? First the blade which is entering into the kidney and the filtration is happening, and that ultimately that after filtration we are getting that end product in the urine formation, that is that in the form of the urine. Our kidneys plays major role in the process called that excretion, and it's majorly the normal human urine includes 95% of water and 5% of solid wastes. Means like whatever we food we are taking, whatever the nitrogenous compound which is there inside that body, but after that urine, end of that urine formation, we will get in the urine includes 95% of the water, 95% of that water, only 5% of other solid waste, means only 5% the waste material which is there inside the urine itself. And as I said, it is produced in the nephron, means which we can call it as the nephron is structural and functional unit of kidney. What is the structural and functional unit of the kidney? It is nephron only. So here, this urine formation in our body is mainly carried out in the 3 phases or the 3 steps. The first one is glomerular filtration. Next, reabsorption. Last one, secretion. First one, what is the name of the first one? Glomerulus filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. These three steps are very important for your examination. Whenever you write the urine formation, you have to write these three steps, which we are going to learn very soon. So here once you can see that the structure of that kidney, actually this is that 1 to 6, that entire urine formation which is taking place in that nephron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As we discussed previous slide, this part is that glomerulus, and next we can see inside that one Bowman's capsule, later which is connected to the proximal convoluted tube. Next, we will see that whenever that urine which is the one step and the second step which is happening, which is the blade which is consisting of that nitrogen waste, which will come down in the form of the form of ascending loop of Henle, and later which will reach to the descending loop of Henle, and even we can characterize that Henle loop, and which will reach to the up distal to distal tubule, and later the urine whatever which is forming in the urine formation, which is collected by the collecting duct. This collecting duct is connected to the ureters. And the first one, here you have to focus. First one is the glomerular filtration. Here, inside that glomerular filtration occurs in the glomerulus, where the blood is filtered. Means first the blood which is entering into the glomerulus. Here the blood which is entering into the glomerulus. This part is that glomerulus. Here, first the filtration of the blood which is happening, and this process occurs across the three layers. This is very important. The first one, the epithelium of Bowman's capsule, the endothelium of glomerulus. Next, glomerulus, like endothelium of the glomerulus blood vessels. Third one, membrane between these two layers. Means actually the process occurs the three layers in the form of epithelium of the Bowman's capsule, the endothelium of glomerulus blood vessels, and membrane between these two layers, means which we can see in the form of the three cross layers. And whatever the blood is filtered in such a way that all the component inside the plasma which will reach to the Bowman's capsule. And here we have to remember that whatever the filtration which is happening in this glomerulus, the filtrate will contain all the component of that food, even the glucose, salt, water, and everything except proteins. Therefore, we can call it as this process is even ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration or the glomerular filtration, both are the same. Ultrafiltration, why we can call it as that ultrafiltration? Because the blood which is filtering each and every substance in the form of very clearly, and we can see that all the substance, only the ultrafiltration is happening, which is not observing that proteins, all the remaining material which is present in the filtrate. So where this entire process is happening? This process is happening in glomerulus. We can call it as the glomerular filtration. Next, this is the process we can see. So this the oxygenated blood which will enter into the one. so that all the nitrogenous waste, all the component of the plasma which will reach here, except the protein, except the protein, and the remaining the blood which will flow as it is back. And what is this portion? This is the filtrate portion which will reach to the which will reach to the down portion. That is the Bowman's capsule to the proximal convoluted loop. And sorry. So reabsorption. First we studied glomerular filtration or that ultrafiltration. Here the second one is reabsorption. The reabsorption is nothing but around 99% of the filtrate obtained in the reabsorption by the renal tube. This is known as reabsorption. Means what exactly happening? The 99% of that all the component which is there in the filtrate which is reabsorbed by the renal tubes. So here we saw that entire the filtrate which is there here, and whenever which is going down, the reabsorption will takes place, in which 99% of all the component will reabsorption will takes place. That means the reabsorption, we can see the sodium, amino acids, the glucose are reabsorbed from the filtrate back to the blood again. So that is the reason, as we learn the 95%, we will see only the water, only 5% all that nitrogenous waste, we can see that. So the same one which we can see clearly here. So the filtrate which is reaching here, then that all the 99% useful form of the component of the blood which will be reabsorbed by the renal tubules back to the blood. Now last one is secretion. The next step in the urine formation is the tubular secretion. Here the tubular cells, whatever the tubular cells secrete substance like nitrogen ions, potassium ions, etc. into the filtrate. Through this process, the ionic acid and base, the balance of other body fluids are maintained. In the secretion, the steps called the secretion, that all the ionic acid and basic balance will be takes place, like whatever the body fluid which we have, that urine, like whatever that end of the urine formation, the urine which can consist of that proper, even the balance in the form of that acid base balance also we can see. And the secretion of the secreted ions combined with the filtrate to form that urine. Means what is the purpose of combining that ionic ions to the urine, which means making that urine in the proper concentration. This urine passes out to the nephron tubule into the collecting duct. We studied the structure of the nephron. The last one is the collecting duct. So here, ultimately the urine will form. This urine consisting of 95% of water and 5% of nitrogenous waste is such waste like in the form of urea or ammonia, and that creatinine are excreted in the urea. Apart from this, the potassium, sodium, and the calcium ions are also excreted. And the urine formed in each kidney, so each kidney simultaneously enter along a long tube called the ureter. Means this portion is that ureter, like whatever that entire filtration 3 steps which is happening there. So later, after completion of formation of that urine, inside here, so which is entering into the long tube called long tube called ureter. This is that ureter. One ureter. Even we can see the second ureter here. And the ureter which connects the kidneys with the urinary bladder. So these ureters which is coming from the kidney, which is connecting to the urinary bladder, where this urinary bladder is that one that all the storage of that urine which will takes place in the urinary bladder itself only. So the urine is stored in the urinary bladder until the pressure of that expanded bladder leads to the urge to pass it out through the urethra. Means urethra is just pass like through which we will pass that urine. And here you have to remember one more key point here. The urinary bladder is that muscular, so it is under nervous control. So this key point is very important. Actually, 2023, a one MCQ question which is repeated from this line means the urinary bladder, since it is muscular, which is under the nervous control. So that is the reason, as we that is the reason, like if you are feel to go to the urination, we can control our urine approximately 1 hour or 30 minutes also, because which is controlled under nervous system. This is all about the human excretory system in the form of urine formation. Means we studied the excretory system, which is consisting of one pair of kidney. Inside that kidney, the structural and functional unit of that kidney is the nephron. So nephron part we studied. Even the urine formation in the form of the three steps, that is glomerulus filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. Here we will wind up with that the last subcontent in excretion, that is the excretion in plants. Ignore this, it is repeated 2 times. So here, as we studied in the previous class, is regarding especially the process called the photosynthesis and the respiration. As we know that, like whenever the process called the photosynthesis occur, definitely that which is helping to make their own food. But along with that, making their own food, which we can see that the byproduct in the form of the carbon dioxide, which is coming through the stomata. Okay, and how this the carbon dioxide which is coming out, as we learn, because of that concentration in and out. But along with that carbon dioxide, even even from the stomata, even we can see that the loss of water, like whatever that excess water which is there in the plant, which will come out from the stomata in the form of excess water, in the process called transpiration. The transpiration is the process which is helping to release that excess water from the plant. So what do you mean by how can we give the definition called the transpiration? With the simple one, the transpiration is the biological process by which water is lost in the form of water vapor from the aerial part of the plant. What do you mean by that aerial part of the plant here? What do you mean by that aerial part of the here? As we know that the transpiration is the biological process by which the water is lost in the form of water vapor from the aerial parts of the plant. Means even we can see that aerial part means like this is that the roots which are there in the ground, we cannot collect as an aerial part here. Here we can see the roots which are very close to the surface area, and even the stem, leaves, which is we can call it as the aerial part. So here actually we can see that between that soil and that root, we will see that some air gaps will be there through which also uh, through which the gases will exchange takes place. So here we have that on the on the stem we have the lenticels. Here we will see that the green color portion in the especially in the on the leaf we will see that the small tiny pores called the stomata, which is helping to allow the removal of the water or the water loss which is taking place through the stomata. And can we see that again, the waste material in the plants only the in the form of gas or in the form of the water itself only? Along with this gas, along with this water, we will see some of the um, waste material that is also has to be removed from the plant for the other wastes the plants use in the fact that many of their tissues consist of the dead cells and that they can even lose some lose some parts such as the leaves, means whatever the waste material which is present in the leaf that will lose some parts such as the leaves. Many plant waste products are stored in the cellular vacuole, and the waste products may be stored in the leaves that fall off. Means just if it is just you can think whatever the waste material which is there in the plant leaf, if it is fall down, definitely that all the waste material also which is automatically come out through the leaves itself only. And other than that, here this word also very important. Other than that, the waste products are stored as a resin, gums, especially inside that old xylem. Means the waste material in the form of the resin and the gum, which is stored in the old xylem. And even the plants also excrete some waste substances into the soil around them. Means that waste material which is there in the plant, especially near to the root. So the roots also which is helping to removal of the waste material in the form of excretory process. So with this note, just we completed the chapter number 5, the life process. Here we have that excretory system, some of the questions. So the describe the structure and functioning of nephron. So here you have to describe the structure of the nephron. Later, what are the methods used by the plants to get rid of that excretory products? We studied just now regarding this one, well, how that plants are removing that waste material. So by the process called the transpiration, even the stomata which is helping it, and along with that other substances which in the form of that waste material, even the leaves also which is helping to removal of that waste, and even the plants are removal of that waste in the form of the gums and the resins are some of the waste material which is stored in the old xylem and vacuole also. And here you can see how is that amount of urine produced regulated. So what is your answer? Try to find out this answer and comment in the comment. So I will check that all the answers. Thank you for watching. So next class we will start with that control and coordination. Thank you.